Hey yo, what is up? This is Nemesis Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank that's in Super Test right now. Now we all love British tanks and everybody's kind of like secretly hoping that this is going to be some kind of miniature Chieftain or something like that in Tier 8. But unfortunately the stats have been kind of nerfed before it goes out into the live server. They're testing it now, but it seems like this tank has been nerfed slightly, and we're going to take a look at the stats and we're going to talk about it slightly. First of all, the speed of this tank. Well, let's start with the engine horsepower. 870 horsepower. This thing is now being nerfed down to 650 horsepower, and this of course affects the power to weight ratio from 21.7, which made it a really quick agile medium tank, something like a T44 100. Now it's been nerfed down to 16.21, which makes it into like a quick heavy tank is what I would say. I'm being generous here. And the speed as well has been nerfed slightly. The reverse speed in particular, the forward speed is still the same, 40 kilometers an hour. The reverse speed 18 down to 16 kilometers an hour. Rotation speed is still pretty quick, 41.72, which means this thing has the hull rotation that can really wiggle left and right fairly quickly. The hull armor on this thing, 70 millimeters. Frontally, of course, this has sloped armor, which means it's going to bounce some shots. It's not going to bounce everything, but take a look at that frontal. If you shoot at it, you're not going to penetrate anything. But the cupola is really huge. It's like a large pimple there, pretty difficult to miss if you aim. The turret armor is 254 slope, which is what I was talking about just now. The hull armor, not that big of a deal, 70 millimeters, but again sloped. The damage per shot on this tank, 420. That's pretty big, 420 alpha damage. But there is a little bit of problem about it. Is the reload time is 16.3 seconds. This is like the Chinese, what's their name on the tank? T22? T122? I can't remember the name of that tank, but you know the one I'm talking about. The one with the hideous 3D style. Again, 16.3 seconds is really slow, but you get 420 alpha and you get 225 penetration on the standard shells, and the premium shells 280 millimeters. The shell velocity on this will be 1010 meters per second, and the premium shells are going to be 1170. If I'm not mistaken, the standard shells are APCR and the premium shells are going to be heat. If I'm not mistaken, I'll double check it and leave a note before I sign off. But yeah, dispersion as well has been nerfed from 0.32 down to 0.34. So this tank was pretty good like maybe a month ago, and then now they've nerfed it down to something that's kind of forgettable, if I'm being honest with you. The moving dispersions have not been released yet. We don't know what the moving dispersions are going to be, but let's say it's around the 0.15, which makes it not great but not terrible either. It's not going to make much, it's not going to matter much, because when you have a reload time of 16 seconds and you're going to have this kind of sluggish mobility, it's not going to make this tank very desirable to play. The aim time on this thing as well, 2.3 seconds wasn't that great. Now it's nerfed down to 2.6 seconds, which again, not the end of the world, but when you combine it with the rest of the nerfs, it's just going to be a hard pill to swallow for people who, whether you're going to throw money at this, buy it with gold, or earn it through a mission or something. It could be a mission tank, who knows, right? But when you are going to spend a lot of time grinding this tank, you might be disappointed. If you throw gold or spend money or bid for this tank, you might be disappointed. So you have to know what you're getting yourself into. I have a feeling that this is going to be somewhat of a medium heavy tank. You're going to be playing it more like a heavy tank. You're going to rely on this frontal turret armor, which is absolutely amazing. 254 millimeters of frontal turret armor, plus that all that sloping on the mantlet and the front of the turret is going to make this a very good turret armored tank. So you're going to use it basically on slopes. You're going to be looking for undulations. You're going to be looking for hills to play on. You're going to be looking to work that 10 degrees of gun depression at all times. You do not want to be on flat ground. You do not want to be in the city. You want to be near rubble. You want to be near hills, slopes, where you can make use of that 10 degrees and that turret armor. But bear in mind, even with all that turret armor, you're still going to have a huge pimple on the top of your head, which is going to be pretty easy to hit. If you take a look at it, you can see it from here. It's pretty difficult to miss. If you're 100 meters away, you're not going to miss that unless you have like 0.40 gun dispersion on whatever tank you're in. If you have pretty terrible tank, then you're not going to hit this cupola. But for most people, hitting this cupola isn't going to be much of a problem if you have like a semi-decent tank with semi-decent crew. So there you go. This is the Nemesis. Unfortunately, it was nerfed, and to be honest with you, I was excited about it. Everybody's excited about any kind of new British tank, and unfortunately, I'm going to say this tank is going to probably, overall in the big picture, is probably going to disappoint, because this is not what we're expecting. It is a pretty looking tank. It is pretty sexy, not gonna lie. But if you're gonna grind for this tank, or you're gonna throw money at this tank, or spend a huge amount of gold to get this tank, I think you might get a little bit disappointed. But anyway, let's see what happens when we're closer to release date. And I hope you enjoyed this video and took some useful information. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.